So this is Ted Flett of Golden Skate, and I am thrilled to be joined by Dalilah Sappenfield. Now, a bit of background for viewers. I chased down Dalilah in Boston at the World Championships. Wouldn't go on camera. I chased her down in Helsinki. She was out of Helsinki too fast. Yep. I couldn't go on camera. So I've come to your training center. Here we are, finally to pick the brain of the great U.S. pairs coach, Dalilah.
Thank you.
So you have been coaching now.
I've been coaching pairs since 1996, and so I don't know, what's that, 20 years?
Long time.
Yeah, so, or 21 years.
Yeah.
And you know, I moved here to Colorado in 1999, and I've been here in the Broadmoor since 2001.
What pulled you into pairs? Like, what drew you to the danger
you know,
of pairs?
I just love working with a team. I'm very passionate of just the team environment. And so I was drawn into it right away, and you know, and I don't have fear of it. So, you know, my whole family does acrobats, and I have a big circus background family, and so we're all, you know, it was no big deal. And so for me is just trying to get two people to skate as one, and just the camaraderie that comes with that, you know, and the kids. That's my passion. So
did you say your family has a background in acrobats and gymnastics? Cool.
Yep.
Tell us about that.
So my father was third generation Ringling Brothers. Was he a flying trapeze artist? So an acrobat. Okay. And so I have a lot of family that is in that. My brothers all worked for Cirque du Soleil, and now they're doing production for Cirque du Soleil. So I come from a family of 10, 10 kids. So,
so you have 9 brothers and sisters.
I do.
That's amazing.
I'm the only skater. But yeah, so so that's just kind of came with the feel, and so I understand it very well, and I just have a great feel for it.
Cool.
So,
are they almost like resources? I mean, do you ever show them what you're doing?
Yes, it's really funny. You know, my father, when we first did the quad twist, the first person I sent it to was my father, and he gave me he's like, no, the chest needs to go up a little bit more, because rotation is rotation, no matter if you're on skates or on gymnastics, you know, it's the body rotates a certain way. So it was funny, because he's the one that I usually send things to, and, you know, my father passed away a couple of years ago, but literally right after that World. But he was always a big part of, you know, so it was really cool. It's neat. He doesn't know anything about skating, but he knows the body mechanics. So, but so that's been
So the first pairs team that I can think of that you coached that caught attention was McLaughlin and
Rockney.
Okay.
Yep.
So how did this pair come together, and what did that look like?
So I was teaching Rockney and Mariel Miller, which was his previous partner. It was his first partner in novice, and I kind of started him from the novice up, and. Unfortunately, she grew too tall for him. Rockney's only like 5'9" or so, and so she grew too tall, and he had to get a new partner. And I remember seeing Kiana in the junior ranks with Rockney and his Mariel, and when they broke up. My immediate thought was, I really got to try this girl out, you know, and she at the time didn't have a partner. So I just kind of called her mom. I was like, you know, just pack your bags, come over. And she's like, are you sure? I'm like, it's going to work. Trust me. You know, and their styles of skating were just so good that I could picture it in my head. And literally it did. 5 minutes into it, we called it, this is going to work. I mean, you could just tell.
You just knew.
I just knew. And so it just, you know, we kind of, and that partnership really helped me grow as a coach, good and bad, because I learned a lot through the good and bad, because I was very young. I think I was 30 years old, you know, and but we grew together. And so, you know, I tell everyone, I wish I knew then what I know now, because I think it would be a different, you know, success, but you know, that's part of life, and you know, you kind of grow through experience.
Sure. Yeah. Did you envision that they would make the 2010 Olympic team?
Yeah, absolutely.
And how disappointed were you when that?
I was, you know, I was not disappointed. Obviously, they weren't with me during that competition, or that towards that season.
They shifted to John Nix. Is that right?
Right. Yes, they did. Right, that summer leading into the into that year, I was disappointed for them because I knew it was their dream, and it was really hard to let them go. But for me, it's not my career; it's their career. Yes, I have a career as a coach, but for me, the skater comes first, and I wanted them to get that goal. I knew that regardless of whether I was there or not, that I was part of that because I built them from, especially Rockney when I had him for many years. So I knew that I was part of that, and I'd take much pride in, regardless of whether they were with me or not that season. So, but I was very disappointed for them. I knew they were, it was hard.
And in 2008, when they won their first championship, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the factoid is you coached the pairs at every level in terms of the U.S. national winners.
Yes, 2008, I had Rockney and Kiana won senior. I think it was John and Jessica that won junior. I don't know my novice champion that year, but I did. I'm sorry. I'm really sorry. It'll come to me.
What an amazing
But I had novice, junior, senior, and I won PSA Coach of the Year that year.
Yes,
so it was really cool.
Congratulations.
Yeah, thank you.
What an amazing accomplishment and achievement.
Yeah, it was. I was kind of scared about it because I'm just, I'm a very private person, and people that get to know me, I'm very bubbly and energetic and stuff, but I'm also I like to stay behind the light and let my kids have that. So that's why I'm very
gotcha.
shy
that's
right now. Yes.
Now, the next big team that you coach that we know of is Young Knierims and Coffin.
Yes. Well, I had them at the same time with Kiana and Rockney.
Right.
But yeah.
I guess in terms of their rise. Disappointment also for them in 2010, but then redeemed themselves in 2011.
Yeah. I think 2010 was, they weren't ready. And what I mean by that is Caitlin was probably, I was very close to her. I had her for 4 years. She was one of those skaters that it took 4 seasons to get her to where she needed to be. Not physically, but mentally. And I really had a great connection with her and helped her. I felt like she had so much to offer and give, and we just had to find ways to get it out of her when it counted. And so they were, I don't know if they were ready in 2010. I knew that they could do it. I didn't know if they were mentally ready for it. And we were hoping, but then that following year, I knew they were going to win no matter what. They were training at a different level. I think we ran out of numbers of how many clean programs they were doing throughout the season. And it was just, when they went to nationals, it was just routine. By the time, so I knew they were ready that year. The year of the Olympics, there was too much emotion, too much question, and we didn't know. So it was, I would have been great for them, but we were still in that place where I didn't know if it was going to happen. But the following year, it was just a different team.
That was such a magnificent performance to watch, and it was so heartfelt because of John's mom, and it was like high drama in terms of nationals and TV and stuff.
That was very hard.
So then the split, new partner. Talk to us about that. Like, how did this first come to attention?
As a coach, at that time, I think John was 26 or 27 years old.
Okay.
As a coach, you can guide your skaters, but when they're that age, they also own their life. There's only so much that you can say or do to convince them to go. I think at that point he was wanting something different in his life, and I can't step, in the way of that for him, and as much as, and I can't tell you how heartbreaking it was for me with Katie, not Katie, but losing Caitlin, because I had a special bond with her. It was very hard.
What was John looking? What was John Coffin looking for?
I'm not sure. He was dealing with the death of his mom. He was very unhappy with, just life at that moment, and I don't know how much of it had, was dealing with mom, but I have to respect his decisions as an adult at that time. And and so it was hard. I mean, I had to kind of sit back and let him do. I mean, I didn't think he was going to skate again originally. I thought he was done. But I think perhaps a fresh start just kind of closed, helped him either heal or move on. I'm not sure. I can't speak for John.
So,
but
did he essentially inform you? Did he consult you? Were you involved in?
Yeah, I mean, originally we thought he was just going to stop, and then Katie was here because Haven and Brandon reconnected because they were skating when they were younger and they reconnected. And so it was just kind of, okay, let's play around. But he was gone for a few weeks. And, I just, like I said, I didn't want to tell him what to do at that time of his life because it's his life. He's gone through such a traumatic thing. And I just felt like, I need to let him make those decisions. So although I enjoyed Katie.
Well, yeah, and you're a bit of a, you're a bit of a pairs matchmaker, right?
Yeah.
So when you saw Katie, or how did that first come about? Did John say you? I'm thinking about.
Yeah, I mean, he asked, and what I thought, and I said, well, I mean, you tell me, right? So, but they eventually had a tryout, and I just think again it's fresh, and I don't know if it changed his perspective, is what he wanted to do. So I just kind of went with the flow at that time, and but I very much enjoyed that team, and they had a lot of success very quickly. I mean, it was. You're putting two skaters that have a lot of experience, so that's a no-brainer, right? Right, exactly. Yeah, and
when you saw them on the ice for the first time, or the first couple times, did you have a sense that this could work?
Yeah, I mean, I think John and Caitlin were beautiful, right? And not that Katie is not beautiful. I mean, she skates. It was just a different dynamic. There was fire, right? And so. Yeah, it was just a completely different feeling. But you could tell that there was potential, There was going to be a big learning curve because they were both set on what they did with their previous partners. But it seemed to work out pretty well for them.
And how was Caitlin informed? Were you involved in that? Or
it was, I mean, like, it's never easy, speaking. I did... leave. I mean, I was involved, but I did allow John to, speak because this was his decision, and I just kind of helped mend the pieces. It was very hard. It wasn't easy, and I know a lot of fans were upset, but I think in the end, it's I have to respect someone's decision, an adult's decision, and what he needed in his life, and I think he was lost at the time with what he wanted. And so, that's.
So, and Denney and Coffin had, as you said, like immediate success.
Yeah.
Really early.
Yeah.
And then had to take some time for an injury. I think the following season missed Worlds in 2013.
Yeah, he had hip surgery.
Right.
Labrum tear.
Okay.
And that was really hard. It was a really hard decision, but we could tell. I mean, he had to do it. So obviously the goal was to get him healthy for the Olympic year, so. And
then missed the Olympic spot.
By 0.33 or something like that.
By a hair. What was that conversation like? I remember seeing on TV, like John seemed to smile through it, and Katie, you could tell was is this really?
I mean, it's it was very hard for them. Again, it was, I think. John wanted so much for me to go to the Olympics, but it's not about me. It's about them. And, I think he was devastated. I'm sure Katie was. I mean, nobody's, it's very hard to go through. But I think they picked up the pieces well. And, we tried to kind of regroup and move forward. And then she had an injury, like literally a day before we left for Worlds that time. So it was like, it wasn't meant to be, And so you just kind of Yeah.
And it took a while for them to sort of make a formal announcement that they were retiring. So were they thinking about another Olympic cycle, another season or two?
You know, I think they were. I don't know. I mean, the injury that Katie sustained was pretty severe. And so, you know, I'm sure there was time to think about, okay, can I recover from this? And,
Sure.
you know, John was also 29 or so at that time. And, you know, so you kind of like, you know, where am I going? What am I doing? What's,
sure.
you know, so, you know, that's, you give them space to figure out what they want. And, you know.
And of course, around that same time, you're also coaching Alexa and Chris,
Yes.
who are, of course, the current top-ranked, fair to say, top-ranked US pair in the world. Wait, after their disappointment in 2014, not qualifying for the Olympics, but then the strides that they've taken since then, so mastering the quad and qualifying for the Grand Prix final, and you know, just the breaking 70 in terms of the short program. Well, they've had a lot of success too. What has that journey been like for you?
It's you know, well, first I've had Chris this is our 13th season together.
Wow.
I've had him from the beginning. He literally learned all the pairs through me. And so I've had him the longest. So when he won his first nationals, I was beyond thrilled for him because I'd been with him such a long time. And so I was so happy for him. And after the 2014 Olympics, when I sat down with Chris and Alexa, I said, you know, moving forward, we want to get to the 2018 season with not just saying, oh, hopefully we can make the Olympics, but get us there. You know, we want to have all the criteria that we needed to really, like, not secure a spot, because nobody can secure a spot, but just to really put ourselves in a position to we're the ones going, right? And so we had a 4-year plan. We worked on, you know, every year, making sure that we checked off these boxes, everything that we needed to do. I mean, a big thing was obviously our component, you know, our basic skating skills, our unison. And so they've really not just listened, but they've become a part of their own coaching. I mean, they watch video, they study their skating, they're very in tune with, you know, this is what, you know, what we have to fix. It's not just me telling them anymore. They're really a part of a team. And so it's been a huge growth for them this 4 years, personal growth of how they train. So it's been really good to see. So, and even last year with what she had, we still stuck to plan, believe it or not. We were able to stick to our goals and our plan, and we kept moving forward. So even with the little amount of time that we had to do that.
Whose idea was the quad twist? Where did that...
Okay, so Chris actually did a quad twist with his first partner, Bryn Carmen.
Okay.
We never competed it, but we have it on video. But he did it many, many years ago.
Okay.
And so I knew he could do it. It took me a while to convince Alexa to do it, and then finally...
What was her hesitation?
You know, she's never, you know, it's like, it's scary to be thrown up there 4 times. So, and then I said, okay, you know, I just kind of mentioned it, and I gave it some time and just let her kind of soak. And then I think it was after the Senior Grand Prix in France, or one of the Grand Prix that year.
The 2015-20?
Yes. Yeah.
No, 2014,
2015. Yeah.
Okay. Yep.
And she said to me, she's like, you know, the Chinese do quad twists. I go, yeah. And she's like, I'm ready. So it was like, just like that. They did it on the first day, on the third try. And I...
Really?
Yeah.
You got it?
Yeah.
And what did the first 2 attempts look like?
Not bad. So you just had to... It was... It's just shocking how fast you rotate, and then just body awareness. And then once she understood where she needed to be, it was almost immediate.
Yeah.
You know, so
did elbows hit faces? Were noses breaking?
Nothing.
Nothing. Wow,
no.
That's great.
You know, I think Chris has probably one of the best twist techniques, you know, in the world, I think. And so he's easy to trust,
right.
You know, and he's very strong. So I felt very comfortable with allowing them to do it, with knowing that Chris was going to catch no matter what, one way or another. So,
So now I recall the the following season, the 2015-2016 season, they win medals at both the Grand Prix events. They qualify for the Grand Prix final in Barcelona on the, I can't remember which practice day it was.
Yeah.
You know, we become fairly accustomed to seeing this quad twist. Great, they've got this.
And we fell 3 times, yeah.
And it was something went kerfluffy, and she kept falling in the practice.
Yeah.
And I remember thinking, I remember watching that practice and thinking, I don't know who I'm more nervous for, like her or
him.
Dalilah,
I know.
or for you. Because I thought every time
it's coming at me
on the boards, and it's like, what do you say to correct this? Because every mistake could be a disaster. What happened there?
So
what happened?
We learned a lot that year with doing quad twist. One, we learned that you can't do too many of them because it's really hard on your body. And then two, I think it's when it becomes very easy, you take it for granted and you start letting little things go, you know? And so under the pressure, they were kind of like, oh my God. So then there's a little bit of hesitation. And then quad twist, all it takes is just a little bit of either hesitation or slightly off technique, and it's it's over.
Yeah.
So that's what would happen, and we've been able to kind of learn from it, and realize, okay, moving forward, we know how to. It's a beast, and how to tame the beast.
When you went into, so I recall in the free skate warm up, they didn't attempt it. How nervous were you whether they were going to land or not? I mean, unfortunately, they didn't. Were you thinking?
I was actually. I wasn't. You know what? I wasn't nervous whether they were going to land it or not. I was more concerned about their safety at that point because I knew that they might not be in the right frame of mind. And so for me, safety was more important, and I just didn't. I was hoping that they were, but literally 2 months later, we get the best quad twist that we've ever done on paper at Taipei. So we were able to come back and kind of go, okay, wait, let's tame this a little bit, and so we were able to learn from those experiences.
Sure.
And,
So, and I remember that season, silver medal at 4 continents, disappointment at Worlds. Nonetheless, I mean, they still earned a record short program score with a mistake in the short program. So it was all excitement. Next season, they're just going to continue to ride this momentum and hopefully become more consistent. And then the illness. So when did it first come to your attention that Alexa wasn't quite right?
Literally the day of the long program at the Teen Challenge. Okay. She was sick that day. And we thought it was a flu. We didn't know, but she was just not feeling well. And so that kind of persisted for 6 months until we were able to figure out what was wrong. But, she's, it's funny, Alexa and I, and Chris a little bit, but Alexa and I are very, some words to say religious, but we're very much believe in a higher power and faith, and that there's reasons for why everything happens. And last year was a time that we really realized that going through everything, how many blessings we have. And it helped all of us realize how not important the little stuff, that you fight about in the past, that how stupid those are, and how, precious life is, because she just went through so much, and we see it in a different perspective now, and I think that honestly helped them get through it. It helped us get through, work through it. We learned a lot about periodization and periodization. Yeah.
I don't know that word.
So strategic planning.
Okay. Right.
I learned a lot about planning and, planning for the best outcome, for them, and really sticking to our plan. It was very much it was hard to not go to nationals. It really was hard for the kids not to go to nationals, but it was just not in our plan to do so, not, for them, for their best outcome, And so we stuck to our plan, and, it worked for us in the end, with 4 continents and worlds. And so we learned a lot about what they need, for me as a coach, what they need, how much they don't need, right? And what's, how to strategically plan their year.
Yeah. So does that mean in practice then, or even in practice now, as presumably, if this was really major, she's still in some form of recovery, right? Like she's still.
Yeah, I mean, her body took a huge, with 3 surgeries. I mean, her body went through a lot, so that takes some time to. I mean, I think right now she's probably at the best shape of her life, because she's had to, do so much work to just get her body, and she's so in tune with what her body feels like. So,
is it tough as a coach though when you think? I mean, it would be tough. I would imagine it would be tough to advise and think, okay, this particular element could go haywire because it's new or it's risky. But now there's this added risk of her health, and can she sustain this landing, this body position?
We had such good medical staff behind us and advising me of exactly what she can and cannot take.
Yep.
And so it was easy not to make those mistakes. They were here with me very often. So it was, her training was very, very medically, what's the word I'm looking for? Monitored. Yeah. And so it was just to avoid all those. We wanted to avoid injuries as she was recovering and building back up and avoiding anything that could, those. So she was very heavily monitored.
Were you nervous?
Nope. Not really.
Just, like, cool as a cucumber.
I like I said, I mean, I try not to worry because it's a waste of energy.
Yeah.
And for me, if something is meant to be, then nothing can take it away from you. And it's going to be, and so we just have to work towards, I tell the kids all the time, like, remember your training is just a process of solutions. You're just fixing one thing after the other, right? And so we kind of just always kind of move forward, and that's how we approached it. And we said we're not going to worry, we're just going to focus on our plan for this week, and then we'll move on to next week. And then we just kind of took it that way. And and that's helped us all kind of put everything in perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
When you got to 4 continents and when you got to the World Championships in Helsinki, was there ever the thought that this also might be too soon, or they're not ready, or she could have another bout or something, and you may have to withdraw or adjust?
No, we never. I didn't think that it was too soon. I think the hardest part was them trusting themselves that they were seasoned enough to start there. And I think after the short, it was such a, we're all crying in the back. Eddie and I and the kids were all crying in the back and gave ourselves, all of us, a big hug because we had known where she came from, not knowing whether she was ever going to skate again or not. And so the fact that she went there and with no prior competitions through the season and just did what they did after that short, it was just validation that, that they're ready and they're seasoned enough to do this. And it was just a very happy moment for all of us because it was, gone through so much. Yeah.
Was there ever hesitation or concern or apprehension from Chris in terms of, I don't want to lift my wife, I don't want to throw her, this could hurt her?
I don't think so. I don't think he never vocalized it. I mean, Chris was her rock. I mean, he was amazing through everything last year. He put her ahead of everything. And what Chris did, which most people don't know, is, he worked 3 months on the ice by himself to improve his jumps, improve his skating skills, improve his posture. When we got monitored later in, when she was skating, people couldn't believe what he looked like because it was like, oh my God, he's really up here. And so he'd done a lot of work on himself. But he was, he wasn't going to, Alexa was not going to come back. She was very determined to get back no matter what. He was going to support her through that.
So heading into this season, having come through that experience, it has obviously bonded all of you.
Yeah.
Has that strengthened your choices of music, choices of elements, day-to-day training?
Oh yeah, I think we We know, the music, we were talking about it at Worlds, what we wanted to skate to and the feeling. And, we originally were going to keep our programs because we only used it twice. But I think after Worlds, they both felt, these programs remind us so much of what had happened to us this year that they wanted to start fresh. I mean, they were great programs. Cindy Stewart did them for us, and they were awesome. They wanted to start fresh, and they wanted to go further and stronger. So we knew which direction we had to go to, and it's really helped me they're very open. They're like we always say, we're very transparent, so that it's very easy to train them. We're very open about where they are and where we need to be at a certain time, and so it's made it very, very good for us.
The choices of music, do you leave that entirely to them and the choreographers? Are you involved in it?
No, we're very involved. Yeah. I had a feeling of what I wanted them to go towards, and so we discussed different types of music for that, and then we looked for choreographers that we felt could enhance their skating, through their choreography. So Christopher Dean and Roheen were obviously the ones that we chose, so we're a big part of it. So.
And are you pleased with the state of the programs?
Oh my God, they're so amazing. I mean, I watch the programs and I'm just like, oh my God. So it's just, it brings them, I think, to another level. I think they're ready for the type of choreography they have this year. Their skating skills and their tracking and their awareness of each other, all that, they're ready for this type of choreography.
Yeah. What sort of added pressure or considerations, anyways, go into selecting music for the Olympic season? Like I've heard some coaches say, it's the Olympics, you got to choose epic music that's recognizable and so forth. I think
for us, it's about music that's going to elevate them, past where they are right now, right? So, or where they were last season. So that's going to take them to the next level. We obviously agree with some of that you have to, you want to have music that's recognizable and epic and the crowd gets into, especially with it being in Asia, it's going to be very popular. But we have to, it's about us first though. So if we can skate a great program, then that's going to be more than just the music. But the music does have to stand on its own as well.
Sure.
So.
There is, fair to say that there's a bit of a bottleneck at the top in terms of pairs. The Chinese, the Germans, the French are on the rise. The Canadians have won 2 world titles. The Russians are always contenders. Do you think Alexa and Chris could be Olympic medalists? Do you think they could break through there?
I don't doubt it at all. I think that they have... I think everyone in the top 10, they almost have the same elements. Everybody's got the technical. We were 4 points from 5th at Worlds, and so it's all about, giving the full package. And I think that they're capable of that, and I would not, count them out for sure.
Yeah. In the U.S., Paris has not had the same kind of dynasty. They've been great teams, but it hasn't had the same kind of dynasty that you've seen in women's skating, men's, and more recently ice dance.
Right.
Why do you think that is? And is it tough to be an American pairs coach with some of the criticism that's out
yes,
there?
I think there's several things. I think one, the culture of pair skating is different in America, and where we're trying really hard to change that. Most skaters go into pairs when they're not good enough for singles, and actually, I have a few single skaters that are good single skaters that have transferred to pairs who are like, oh my God, pairs is way harder, because it's a different beast. So I think that's one of the issues in our country, whereas in some of the other countries, it's their strength, right? And so it's always been for a long time, their strength. So we're trying to fight some of that as well, and change the culture, with other coaches and trying to educate everyone about, pairs is not a weaker discipline. So hopefully you'll see some of that in the next few years. I'm not frustrated. I think our country has a lot of talented skaters.
Yep.
We just have to keep them together long enough so that they have enough time to develop to that point. Like the Chinese and the Russians that stay together for a very long time.
That are matched
Perfectly.
almost as fetuses.
Right.
And then
Right,
know each
right.
other so well.
Right.
Is it, do you ever get distracted when you're at the boards amongst, at the Grand Prix final, for example, amongst the Nina Mosers and the Richard Gauthiers and
No,
that you think like, oh, do we belong here?
No. I mean,
Good.
I've been friends with Nina for many, many years. We actually grew together in the junior ranks of pairs together, and so we've been friends for a very, very long time. I think all the coaches are very humble when they get to that level, that they all communicate, pretty easily, and it's we all share the passion of pairs. So I don't know if I don't feel that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Is there almost a different sense of camaraderie amongst just in the pair skating community in general?
I think so.
Because something that I observe quite often in, for example, ladies figure skating is, if the skater is 15, 14, 16, 17, the coach is they're picking the music, they're picking the costume, they're making all the choices. You do that, and this is what you're going to do.
Right.
Whereas your skaters are in their late 20s, even early 30s in some cases. I don't think you can be as directive. These are adults who want to be part of this decision-making process.
Right.
Is that what helps to kind of shape it, or what creates that camaraderie?
I think the camaraderie in the pair discipline is just, honestly, there's danger behind it, so everyone kind of looks for the safety of it. But I agree, they're much more mature. And so they understand, especially at that level, that, you're really competing against yourself. You can't control what the judges are going to score you or anything like that. But you think they're all pretty good friends. Because they're all, like I said, the maturity level's there.
Yeah.
So
you've seen up close the top pairs in the world.
Yes.
Who are some of the teams that you think, wow, if I could take a bit of that team and a bit of that team to Alexa and Chris, that would be, who are the teams that you really like or you're really fond of?
Tatiana and Max. I think we watch a lot of Gordier and Greencroft, to be honest with you. Those are my favorite.
Yeah.
But I think Tatiana and Max, obviously, and Shen and Zhao.
Yeah.
So, but we study a lot, and then we actually compare our videos to their videos and see where, and you just learn. So you just kind of, everyone does that.
Yeah. Last question. You have such a cool style in competition.
Oh, really?
The hair, the nails,
okay.
the wardrobe. Where do you shop? What's your inspiration?
Oh my God. Okay. My nails are a big thing.
Yes.
Okay.
I love them.
I love my nails. They're just my thing.
This stuff.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know my hair. I didn't know that was a big thing. I just have long black hair.
Sometimes it's ponytail, it's straight, it's curly.
Yeah, whatever I feel that. And actually, it depends on where I am. So in Barcelona, I had my hair up a lot because it was very humid, and so my hair gets frizzy. And so I had my hair up a lot. So it's really, I don't know. I don't really do, much.
Do you shop here in Colorado Springs, or where?
I do.
Okay.
I just in the mall.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for talking.
You're
to us.
welcome.
It's been just fascinating to learn about your background in skating and your experience with your teams and Alexa and Chris.
Yeah.
Wish you all sorts of luck this season.
Thank you so much.
And,
Thank you.
We'll be watching.
Awesome. Thank you.